Listen to the difference between simple and compound meter. Those two examples are very similar. The difference is just where we feel the big pulse in the music. The compound meter is something we use when we have larger pulses in the music that then get divided into groups of three. So examples of compound meter include 6/8, 9/8, 12/8. You notice the number on top is always a multiple of 3, and that's how many of those smaller subdivisions we have in the bar, right? So we've divided the big beats into 3, and then we count all of those smaller subdivisions. That gives us how many beats in the bar. The number on the bottom is almost always going to be an 8 in compound meter, because that's referring to the fact that we will notate those smaller subdivisions in groups of 3 as eighth notes. You could, in theory, just write this out by writing everything in triplets, right? A triplet is a kind of rhythm that shows we're supposed to get 3 notes within one beat. And it's kind of a special notation that in most 4/4 music you will see from time to time. We could write everything in the music as triplets, and we would get the same effect as writing things out in compound meter. But it tends to be a lot easier to read if we just write it in compound meter when the piece of music is defined by this rhythm. So that's how we get something like this example in 6/8. And you can see that we've also beamed together the eighth notes into groups of 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in 6/8 time like this, we have a strong beat on the first beat of the measure and then the fourth beat of the measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4. That's where the emphasis is. If you compare this to music written in 3/4 time, in many ways it looks very similar. We have the same number of eighth notes in the bar. We have 6 eighth notes in the bar. Same number of quarter notes in the bar. If you were to write them all out, you would get 3 quarter notes in the bar. The difference is that in 3/4 time, we are feeling those quarter note pulses as the main beat. So that might sound like this. Right? So you can feel a strong beat on each of those quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Very different from then if we group together 3 eighth notes into one beat. So that's the idea with compound meter. You're going to see 6/8 much more commonly than the others. And the important thing to understand is that we have these larger pulses then divided into something atypical, right? We normally divide everything into multiples of 2, but in the case of compound meter, we're dividing the larger beats into groups of 3. And while we're here, there's a related concept. This is something called odd meters. Sometimes the strong and weak beats in a piece of music will actually be grouped into other bigger prime numbers, like 5 or 7, or even you'll get like 11. In practice, most of the time, for an odd meter like that, things are going to break down into alternating groups of 3 and 2. So here's a really common example with 5/4. This is a grouping of 3 beats followed by a grouping of 2 beats. You might recognize I'm borrowing the syncopated rhythm that Dave Brubeck used in a famous piece that's in 5/4 time. That's called Take 5. And what happens here is that we have this pattern that takes up 3 beats, 1, 2, 3, followed by a pattern that takes up 2 beats, 1, 2. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. That's what's really going on in the music. It's not that we just have 5, a strong beat, and then 4 equal weaker beats, we actually have these smaller groupings within the odd meter of 5/4. It really helps to look for that because actually not every 7/4 is created alike for that reason. Sometimes in 7/4, you'll find a grouping of 3 and then a grouping of 4, or 2 groups of 2. Sometimes it will be 4 and then 3. And same with 5/4. I just demonstrated 3 and then 2. That's probably the most common, but you could have a 2 and then 3. Sometimes when people are writing out music in these odd meters, they will actually show you like 3 plus 2 plus 3, depending on what the meter is, to help you understand where those groupings are in the music. But typically, once you start playing a piece of music and you can hear it, if it's a well-written piece in an odd meter, or it's coming from a folk music culture where they use odd meters like this and there's a dance associated with it, you will naturally be able to hear where these groupings of 2 and 3 come in the music. There's one more concept I want to discuss in this series, and it's a fun one. It's swing. So stick around for that. Thanks for following along with this series on rhythm, and you can subscribe to the channel to make sure you'll see when I publish the next video. My name is Ted with Piano Fluency.